Well, in 2008, 2009, we had a big bear market because of too much debt, Dave. Now, Washington says we're not going to have any more bear markets, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. So if you believe Ivy League educated government employees, don't listen to me, because Janet Yellen, who's the Secretary of the Treasury, says no more bear market. I've been around longer, a long time, and I have read about what's happened in history, and we've always had bear markets, and we always will have them, and the debt is staggering times more than it was in 2008, 2009. So the next bear market has to be the worst in my lifetime. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just making a simple statement of fact. Like saying the next time we have a hurricane, it's going to be bad. Well, the next time we have a bear market, it's going to be horrific because there's so much debt. Well, all of those guys are bureaucrats who work for the government, or academics who work for the government. They can't get a real job, so they get a government job. I've only had a few central bankers in my lifetime, or that I've read about in history, that had a clue what was going on. India had one not long ago. We had one guy named Volcker a while back, but there have been very few who ever understood what they're doing, including this crowd. They don't know what they're doing. You ask a very interesting question. They have two choices: continue printing money, which they might well do, or stop. Well, if they stop and they raise interest rates and cut back, then the bear market will start sooner rather than later, even despite what they say. If they continue to print money, yes, inflation will continue to get worse and worse and worse, but that too will eventually lead to a bear market because interest rates will go through the roof with inflation. They'll raise interest rates at least a time or two, and it'll certainly scare the markets. Traditionally, and there's no such thing as it always happened this way, but traditionally the markets got scared the first time or two, but it really didn't count until the third time. When they raised interest rates the third time, then the market said, I'm getting out of here. We get scared the first time, the second time, but it's not until now. Who knows? I have absolutely no idea how it's going to work this time, but that traditionally is a way that some people thought. I would suspect it's certainly going to be the longest in my lifetime, and that probably means the decline will be the worst in my lifetime. Always in bear markets before, there are many stocks that go down 80 or 90%, which is pretty bad if you own them. And that hits a lot of people. There are always some stocks that only go down 50 or 60%. But I would suspect that the next time it's going to be really horrendous because there's so much, not so much, just so much debt in the world, but many companies have huge debt on their balance sheets. And in bear markets, people notice things like that and get scared. Well, I mean, if we have the worst bear market in my lifetime, it doesn't matter where you are, you're going to be affected. Well, even North Korea will be affected in the worst bear market in my lifetime. So everybody's going to be affected, some less than others. And that's always been the case. I don't see how China can avoid it. It's the largest trading country in the world. And if its customers have problems, they're going to have problems, no matter who you are. You're going to have problems if your customers have problems. And in the worst bear market in my lifetime, nearly everybody's going to have problems. Well, I'm not selling short yet. I hope I'm smart enough to sell short somewhere along the line. Selling short is a way to protect yourself when things go wrong. Cheapest asset class I know, right? Bonds are in a bubble. Bonds have never been this expensive in world history. So bonds are a bubble. Property in many places is a bubble. You mentioned China, but Korea, New Zealand, lots of places. Property is in a bubble. China is trying to cut back on its bubble. But unfortunately, they've been trying to cut back for a while. Never were successful before. Looks like they're now successful this time around. So property essentially is not something for me to buy anywhere in the world, unless there's a special situation. Stocks are beginning to form bubbles. I mean, Amazon goes up every day. Tencent goes up every day. Samsung goes up every day. Not all stocks are a bubble yet, though there's still, look at the US, there are many stocks that are still down. So the only real live cheap sector that I know of is commodities. I mean, silver's down 60% from its all-time high. Gold is down. Gold is not going through the roof. Sugar is down 60% from its all-time high. These are not bubble kind of numbers, Dave. So The cheapest asset class I know are real assets. And if inflation is going to continue, which I presume it will, because they will continue to print, the only way to protect yourself historically is real assets, unless you find the few stocks that do well, even when the world comes to an end. Well, often in history, in investment history, you had when stocks do well, commodities don't, and vice versa. When commodities do well, stocks don't. Not always. There's not always the correlation, but it is a frequent correlation that has happened in the past. Well, the simple answer would be if the Federal Reserve raises interest rates 3 times, just because, it's what I remember. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be correct or not. But if you're asking me here in January of 2022, that would be my answer. But who knows between now and then? Many, many, many things can and will happen. It could be something else that causes me. I mean, if America goes to war with Russia and China and Iran and North Korea, I probably won't be long. Well, whenever there's turmoil, historically, people look for a safe haven. And traditionally, many people think the US dollar is a safe haven. It's not. America is the largest debtor nation in world history now, but people think it is. So I still own US dollars. When the US dollar has its last big rally, my plan, who knows, is to sell it. And then I'll have to put my money somewhere else. I don't know where at the moment. And I don't even know if that's how it's going to work out. But, I don't see any way that the US can continue to build up gigantic debts and continue as the world's reserve currency. No currency has lasted more than 100, 150 years as the world's international currency. The US has been around a long time. There are many fundamental reasons that it's going to change and political reasons. The world's reserve currency is supposed to be neutral, that you can use, anybody can use it at any time, but it doesn't, Washington doesn't play that way anymore. If Washington gets angry at you, they put sanctions on you. Then you cannot use the dollar. So a lot of people, not me, but a lot of people more important than me are saying, wait a minute, it's not supposed to be that way. So the Russians and the Chinese and the Brazilians and the Indians and the Iranians and many other people are looking now to find a competitor to the dollar, and they will. I don't know what yet, but they will. Well, the renminbi is not convertible yet, and it's very hard for anything to be a competitor on the international stage if it's not convertible. Now, they have been making it more convertible since 2005, but it's still not there yet. But eventually, all money is going to be on the computer. Everybody's working on it. In China, you cannot take a taxi using money. You have to have your computer money. So they're ahead of the rest of us. It is definitely going to be computer money. Well, as I was saying, once the money's on the computer, I don't think the US is going to say, okay, this is money now. But if you want to use something else, you can. That's not the way bureaucrats in Washington think. That's not the way academics think. They want control and they want power. So I suspect I know all the money is going to be on the computer eventually. I don't think it's going to be rival currency. It will be government money is what I mean.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where do you start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, You won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.